Om Namo Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimanandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisitam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupak Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगना रघुनाथं मितं तां सजीवं सादयितं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललितां श्रीविशाखावितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। Welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are discussing chapter 6 Dhyana Yoga. In that we are in section in this section, which is the fourth section, in which there is a question asked by Arjuna, and Krishna is explaining, giving an answer to that question. The question is on what happens if the mind deviates, and what is the position of the yogi who has deviated from the path of transcendence. Krishna is answering it one by one. Let us go to the shloka number 6.40. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Parthanaiveha Namotra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Kaschet Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. In this, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Partha and Tata. Partha is son, O son of Pritha, and Tata means my friend. These are all intimate ways of addressing. Krishna is here giving a compassionate assurance. This compassionate assurance is, or this assurance is compassionate and categorical. In chapter 9, 3.1, Krishna gives similar assurance. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashva shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. Which means, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. He quickly becomes righteous. This person becomes righteous. Krishna does not talk. If you see chapter number 6, there is no mention of any devotion. He's talking about a transcendentalist in general. Krishna is saying, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit. Durgatim tata gacchati. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Is never overcome by evil. This is a heartfelt assurance by Krishna. To make this assurance, Krishna is using very endearing address of Arjuna, which is Tat. It is an intimate address. We can give philosophy to help people come out of anxiety. However, along with philosophy, we have to give a emotional solace. We see here Krishna gives an emotional assurance. Things will be all right. This is the first step adopted by Krishna. Then he furthers philosophical explanation. And if you see the purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 5th chapter, 70th shloka. Taktva swadharmam charanambujam mare bhajan apakko atapate tato yadi yatra ko avadra amushya kim ko varta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. So, what does this mean? The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely regulated and non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions, who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness, certainly progress in life. Srila Prabhupada here is explaining what is this Kalyanakrit, Kaschit. So Kalyanakrit, what does it mean? So Kalyan, the one who is engaged in auspicious activity. So first Srila Prabhupada is giving the shloka, um, which is to take complete shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining what happens to a person who does follow the four regulative principles, which is a auspicious step. Further, there is one shloka in chapter 2. दूरेण हि अवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगधनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणम् अन्विच कृपाणाः फल एतवः. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distance by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. The point is that activities which are done to enjoy fruits of one's work are inauspicious. These activities are not aimed at liberation. Serious spiritual endeavor is auspicious, and the devotional path is the easiest and best auspicious route or auspicious work. Therefore, we need to just give up inauspicious work, or we have to stick to Krishna conscious methodology. In the next verse, which is 6.41, Krishna will elaborate on this point further. Let us go to the next shloka. Prapya punya katam lokan usitva shashvati sama suchinam srimatam gehe yoga brashto abhijayate. An unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on planets of pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich and aristocracy. This verse talks about specifics. In the heavenly planets, the life is very long compared to the earthly living beings. So it looks as if the heavenly beings are immortal or indestructible or living forever. In that relative sense, heavenly residents are called as Amara. Amara means who do not have death, who do not have death. In the scriptures, there is a description of four category of living beings. They are Martya, Amara, Chiranjiva, Nitya. Martya are the people who are in earthly planet. The duration of life here is 100 years in this Kali Yuga. In the previous Yuga, people lived longer. In Kali Yuga, it is around 100 years. Amara are heavenly human beings. Their life is very huge compared to the Martya Loka. Then Chiranjiva is someone who lives for one day of Brahma or one lifetime of Brahma. The life is categorically longer than the lifetime of heavenly planets also. And Nitya are in the spiritual world. They live forever. Here, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. They are two families which are in advantageous position. When someone is born in the family of pious, he gets impression which are favorable for spiritual practice. When someone is born in a prosperous family, the struggle for material existence is minimum. This arrangement gives people to practice the spiritual life steadily. Krishna uses the word yogo brashta. Yogo brashto abhijayate. Yogo brashta means one who has fallen from the path of self-realization. This is similar to the word yoga chalita manasa, which Arjuna uses in this question. People will get distracted from the spiritual life for many reasons. One reason is that their upbringing and culture is so bad that that upbringing and culture is not conducive for spiritual life. Otherwise, they are in a spiritual culture. But even when they are in the spiritual culture, they can get caught up in struggle to maintain their body, that they are unable to practice their spiritual life. The soul can have mental, physical, and different types of obstacles to practice spiritual life. Physical obstacles may refer to obstacle in terms of maintaining the body. Mental obstacles can refer to the mental conditionings and misconceptions that one has acquired during one's upbringing and through one's culture, convention, and consumptions. Suchinam prevents from too much struggle, and Srimatam prevents one from getting into Suchina prevents one from getting into misconception, and Srimata helps one to come out of the bodily struggles. Sometimes we may think that when a person is born in a wealthy family, won't that lead to an infatuation by wealth which can distract him from the spiritual life? Definitely, it can. When you have a situation where everything is available for you to maintain a good material life, then you will not get time to think about Krishna. So definitely, it is a situation. In this way, it is actually uh, in this way it is actually it could be sometimes advantages, sometimes it could be disadvantages. We can see that in case of Queen Kunti, she writes in her prayer, Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribi Edamana Madapuman Naiva Naiva Hati Abhidatum Vai Swama Kinchana Gochara. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is in the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Aishwarya specifically refers to opulence. Opulence is something which can make one feel that I do not need God. However, in this case, we are talking about, however, the case where what Krishna is describing in this shloka of Bhagavad Gita is that he's talking about a spiritualist who has taken a spiritual position. Thus, the material wealth will not delude him from continuing the spiritual path. Thus, the distractions are minimal for these two classes of people. Krishna is talking about people who had made a bit of spiritual advancement, and then they are given this type of situation so that they can advance further. Why would Krishna send someone who wants liberation to heavenly planets? This could be a question. The reason is that the reason is that the person, such a person has a tendency to enjoy heavenly pleasure. This heavenly pressure distracts a person from liberation. We need to understand that ultimately we need to give up our desires to get liberation. There are two ways to deal with the desires. Okay, to indulge in them and get rid of them, and to understand their futility and get rid of them. To indulge in them, get rid of them, to understand the futility and get rid of them. Both the ways, one has to get rid of the material desire to move towards liberation. Indulgence alone cannot help in liberation, but indulgence along with practice of dharma help in liberation. By practice of dharma, one gets higher taste. By indulgence, one gets lower taste. By both, one understands that indulgence is insignificant and let me go for higher taste. In this way, one transits from no path of sense gratifications to path of liberation. When a person engages only in intelligence, then anarthas are it results in anarthas, which only aggravates the situation. When a person has both higher and lower taste and is attracted only to lower taste, so much so that the attraction for the lower taste makes him give up the higher taste, then it is it is going to be he is moving away from path of liberation. Krishna in this point says that this is what uh, okay, you want only the sense gratification, so move to a higher planets, enjoy there for long duration of time. There, this transcendentalist gets chance to go to uh, transcendentalist gets chance to engage in sense gratification in higher planets, and he enjoys the pleasure. The quality and quantity of these pleasures are much higher. The person has some higher taste, and because the person has a higher taste and he also has taste for sense gratification in heavenly planets, since the pleasure is the quantity and quality of pleasure is better, the person with higher taste feels after some time the need for liberation. And since the higher planets are dharmic in atmosphere, the gradual realization about the futility of sense gratification arises in the mind, arises in the person. Usitva Shaswati Sama. So that is why Usitva Shaswati, after dwelling many years, so after he dwells there for many years, the person comes down to earth and he takes birth in Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. It is interesting that Krishna does not say that from heaven one can continue further to the spiritual world. The person has to come to earth. Earth is karma bhumi. It is earth where our destiny is shaped. Other parts of the universe are exhausting our karma, which is acquired in the earth. In higher planets, one is exhausting the punya, and in lower planets, one is exhausting the papa. Either way, one is exhausting his karma, which is acquired when one is living on this earth. In this way, on. One moves on. So going to heaven is to cater to the cater to desire to enjoy, which coexist with the spiritual desires. Such a person is given opportunity to engage in the heavenly enjoyment, And then he comes back again, engages in the life in a auspicious family or in a prosperous family. The pious family or prosperous family is Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. This is one possibility that one has spiritual desire and one also has a enjoyed material, wants material enjoyment. The next verse, Krishna will describe about another possibilities where one has practiced spiritual life substantially, made significant amount of spiritual advancement, but one is not able to complete the journey. This person is unable to completely get purified in order to go to the spiritual world. What happens to him? Let us go to the next verse. तत्वा योगिनाम् एव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतदि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. The auspiciousness begins right from the moment of conception, right from the moment the egg and the seminal fluid, semen mix with one another. Right from that moment, auspiciousness begins. This is called as Garbhadana Samskara. In case of a devotee, the family um, offers everything to Krishna. The food is also offered to Krishna. Mother eats the food which is offered to Krishna. So, mother eats Krishna Prasad. So, the infant gets only Prasad when in the womb of the mother and when just born. The nourishment is either within the body as blood or external to body as milk. Thus, the body of the infant is a product of prasad. Thus, the infant gets auspicious environment to practice spiritual life. This kind of birth is extremely rare. Srila Prabhupada puts himself and his spiritual master in this category. We can see he has written, fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupada Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had opportunity to take birth in such families by grace of the Lord. And both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our life. Later on, we met by the order of transcendental system. Okay. It is interesting that Srila Prabhupada has told in some occasion that he was in the spiritual world and then he descended from spiritual world on instruction of Krishna. Okay. And on instruction of Krishna, he came down to write books and share Krishna consciousness in this world. If this is the case, why Srila Prabhupada puts himself in the category of unsuccessful yogi? Why he is putting himself and his spiritual master in the um, in the category of unsuccessful yogi who returns after a very long practice of yoga? So we need to understand here one thing. Srila Prabhupada is not explicitly saying that he and his spiritual master are not uh, are unsuccessful yogis. He's not saying that. We see that Srila Prabhupada is saying that by grace of the Lord. By grace of the Lord. He's not saying that by our spiritual practices we were born in spiritual families. No. By grace of the Lord, they were born in the family of devotees. And it is not because of unsuccessful yoga practice. No, it is not that way. At times, devotees speculate who was Srila Prabhupada in his previous life or what is the position of Srila Prabhupada in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada did not encourage this kind of speculation. And Srila Prabhupada was asked, What does Nikunja Yono Ratikeli Sidyai verse in Guru Ashtakam, what does it mean that spiritual master assists Radha and Krishna in their intimate pastimes? How does he assist? Srila Prabhupada told that that is none of your business. Srila Prabhupada did not encourage this kind of speculation. At times, devotees speculate who was Srila Prabhupada in his previous life or what was his position in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada did not encourage this at all. There is one letter which Srila Prabhupada wrote. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, does spiritual master know who he is in his previous life? Srila Prabhupada never made any supernatural claims. He did not claim his authority over supernatural things. Therefore, Srila, it is, he wanted to impress upon the point that uh, if you are engaged in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will take care of you. So that is the most important thing that we need to understand here with respect to this point which Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here in this sloka. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll discuss about this verse further in our next session. Thank you very much. Chakalpatarubhyascha, Vasindhuvayevcha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि हरे कृष्णा।